The MCU is back like it never left. I mean, in my opinion, it never left. We just had a few hiccups along the way.
Out of pocket for that shit.
Thunderbolts is the latest installment in the MCU. Ensnared in a death trap, an unconventional team of anti-heroes, Yelena Belova, Bucky Barnes, Red Guardian, Ghost, Taskmaster, and John Walker embark on a dangerous mission that forces them to confront the darkest corners of their past. Listen, by far the best thing of this movie is Taskmaster. In all seriousness though, this movie takes Marvel back to its roots. What do I mean by that? It's a movie filled with heart, filled with humor, and fully fleshed out characters. I think Marvel at its best is when it's a really character-driven story. That's when we've gotten the best Marvel movies. I think this movie does a good job of going back to that, going back to their strength. Thunderbolts is a fun, action-packed movie with themes of mental health and loneliness packed underneath it in a really well character-driven story. And in my opinion, that is Marvel at its best. Marvel is at its best when the characters are relatable, audiences can relate to the characters, and the motivation behind every character feels authentic and unique. Instead of just bland superhero mumbo jumbo, these characters feel real, within the Marvel universe, which I think that's always been Marvel at its best. Character-driven story, so that's my favorite part about this movie. It's very much a character-driven story, obviously involving this bigger universe, which is the MCU. Everyone that needed a spotlight in this film got their spotlight. Yelena was already a beloved character by fans, but before we kind of just knew her as Natasha's little sister. She's another Black Widow. Here we finally got to see kind of the trauma she went through in the Red Room, the past, her childhood, and I think that was very important because we got to know Yelena at a deeper level, and I feel like we really needed that for her character. So same thing with Agent 47. He used to be the rip-off Captain America, the dollar store Captain America, whatever you want to call him. I don't know why I just ripped on him like that, but that was all he was known for before, and we finally get to see a deeper level of Agent 47, the real human side of him, not just the soldier, decorated soldier that got the mantle and then lost it. We got to see the human side, his little bit of his family side, and what bothers him in his life. I thought that was really important. A lot of people are complaining that Ghost didn't get that spotlight, but I don't think she needed it, just because we spent a lot of time with her in Ant-Man and the Wasp. We really figured out what was her problem, what was her deal. We know the backstory, we know her trauma, so I'm okay with Ghost not getting that in this film. Some people had an issue with that. I personally didn't, because I feel like that would be redundant to go back into her story when we've got all the details we needed in Ant-Man and the Wasp. Instead, with Ghost, they focus on her having back and forth banter with the rest of the group, and she had some cool action scenes, so I don't think Ghost was mishandled at all. I've been hearing that a lot. I personally disagree. I think all characters were handled really well in this film, and that in essence is what makes it so good in my opinion. Same thing goes for Bucky. A lot of people are saying that Bucky was underutilized in this film, but I also disagree. We've known Bucky for a very long time now, since Winter Soldier. We know what he's been through, we know what he's done, but he comes in here to kind of be part of that glue that gels the team together, and it works in the story. Bucky Barnes works in the story that they laid out for the Thunderbolts movie, so I had no problem with the type of spotlight or the amount of screen time he got. I thought it was well done. Also, David Harbour, aka the Red Guardian, was brilliant in this film. He, again, like Bucky, becomes the glue of this team. He becomes the heart, the spirit, because a lot of these people don't want to be together. He's like, no, we're a team, we're the Thunderbolts. The comedy he used in this film was great. David Harbour's always good at comedic timing. So Red Guardian was funny. It wasn't too much either. He didn't become too comical, how some other Marvel characters can become. I thought it was perfect. His entire arc throughout this film I thought was well done. And that's pretty much the common theme for all these characters. I thought everybody was portrayed well. Everybody did a good job. The actors did a good job. I thought the writers did a good job with every character. And that was by far the best part of this movie, is the characters. But the standout is without a doubt Florence Pugh, Yelena Belova. She is the engine of this film. She's what drives the story forward. Without going into heavy spoilers, there's some interactions between her and Lewis Pullman, which plays Bob, aka Sentry. I think their kind of connection, their story together is what kind of drives the film forward. That's why Yelena Belova is a standout. Florence Pugh, phenomenal actress. She proves it once again in this film. But she is very much the engine of this movie and the best part of this movie, which leads me to the other aspect of this film that I loved, which was Sentry, aka Bob, the Void, whatever you want to call him. There's very few times that Marvel gives us a fully fleshed out villain, a villain that is relatable to audiences. We've gotten Thanos, we've gotten Loki. Sentry's gonna fit into that category because he's a character with many layers to him. They kind of walk us through his traumas, what he's been through, and they give us a reason behind why he's acting the way he's acting. And I think those are the best villains when they have an actual reason for doing what they do. You know, Thanos, he basically lost his whole planet, so he's trying to make sure that doesn't happen everywhere else. His whole way of going about it is wrong, but you know, you understand why he's doing it. I think Sentry falls into that category, and again, he's a big part of this film when it comes to the underlying theme of mental health and all that. So I thought that was really well done as well. The one negative for me is that the climax of the film could have stuck the landing a bit better. That's not to say I didn't like it. I thought it was a good ending. I thought it was very emotional. That was the point of the ending, was to be emotional. I'm not gonna get too much into detail, but it all comes together well. You know, you feel the emotions of the characters, feel the emotions of the moment, but it does feel a little rushed at certain points. For example, there's a side plot to this movie involving Val, the CIA operative or CIA agent, and her involvement behind Thunderbolts and all that. And I feel like the conclusion they give to her story is a little rushed. You know, given what happened before in the movie, it feels like the resolution to that was a little too easy. You know, she kind of just gets away with stuff, which I wasn't a huge fan of. So I do feel like that ending was a little bit rushed. But other than that, great film overall. But like I said, this was a fun, action-packed superhero film, Marvel film. You know, we're used to comedy, action, great characters with an underlying theme, underlying message within it all. So I thought it was really well done. I don't have much to complain about this movie. It's a 9 out of 10 for me. And in terms of the Eddie G tag, I will be buying this and putting this on my special film shelf. So yeah, let me know what you thought. Go down in the comment section, let me know what you thought. If you want a spoiler review, I'll put that out on Sunday. If this video gets at least 10 likes, we'll put that on Sunday after everybody has gotten a chance to see the movie. But until then, I'm Eddie G signing out. It's Ground Entertainment.